Happy Memorial Day, ladies and gentlemen. And it's Memorial Day. You know what that means? We are going to get in a fantasy football draft like we do every single day. So let's go ahead and let's hop into here. I'm assuming that we are going to do the Chow Chow. That's what seemed like most people wanted yesterday. And on top of it, Best Ball Mania is going to be here forever. Chow Chow is going to be here for a limited amount of time. So let's go ahead. Let's hop in here. 2 spots open in this draft. Still, if anybody wants to come in, looks like it's full just in case you don't know about the Chow Chow. First off, let's see what pick we're getting. Come on, give us something good. We're 3. Hell, I'll take it. Of course, very nice if we get either Jefferson or Chase falling to us. If not, we will take Tyreek Hill. But let me show y'all just real quick in case you haven't had a chance to get in the Chow Chow. So this is going to be, of course, on Underdog, a best ball tournament. This is a $50 buy-in, $250,000 prize pool. There have been so far 2,300 entrants, 50,000 for first place, second place 25,000, third place 15,000, fourth place 10,000, etc., 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 all the way down the line. But I have bad news for y'all. Like I've already said, we've already drafted the winning team here. Like we have built some monsters. Well, we'll draft for second place though. We'll see if we can get that 25,000. But of course, thank you so much for everybody coming and hanging out with us. And oh my gosh, we are here, 200 people watching before this draft even starts. Thank you all so damn much for coming to hang out with us. If you have any cool Memorial Day plans, let me know in the live chat. We'd be happy to see it. But Chase goes 1. Oh my gosh, if we get Jefferson, I would cry, but probably not happening. Jefferson goes, so we're going to go ahead. We are going to take Tyreek Hill. You all have seen me do this about 20 times now. We're going to go ahead. We are going to get the elite wide receiver round 1. We are going to get probably another wide receiver on the way back around in round 2. And then our round 3 running back. Y'all know we just want to go running back round 3 in almost every single one of these drafts. Yoda Pilled says, got to work on Memorial Day. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. Frederick says, what's your favorite burger place in Austin? Okay. Y'all are going to hate me for this one. It almost doesn't matter where you are in the country. And trust me, I've eaten about 1,000 cheeseburgers. It may be more than that. How old am I? I probably eat a cheeseburger, probably eat 2 to 3 a month for a lot of months. Yeah, I've probably eaten about 1,000 cheeseburgers. There's no better cheeseburger on the planet. Cost in consideration. Of course, if you want to go spend $20 on a burger, you can probably find a better one. But if you're taking into account the value at the same time, nothing beats In-N-Out. This is coming from someone who grew up in Texas, lives in Texas now. Whataburger doesn't hold a candle to it. In-N-Out, double, can't beat it, 100%. But Ian says Pete Terry's low-key good. I always get the chicken sandwich, Pete Terry's. Pete Terry's not too bad. But let's see. Nothing crazy has happened in this draft so far. Interested to see that Devontae Adams still goes before CeeDee Lamb, even with the Jimmy Garoppolo news here. So, yeah, interesting spot. Joey says, I got the $10 last night. Shout out to the Dodfather. Thank you so much, my man. And hell yeah, super happy to get y'all that. Of course, if you don't know what he's talking about, so on Underdog Fantasy, of course, you can go sign up right now. Use promo code FLOCK. Get into these drafts with us every single day. When you sign up with promo code FLOCK on Underdog, you're going to get a 100% deposit match. And on top of that, you're going to get my 2023 fantasy football rankings. You're going to get a free trial to flockfantasy.com, all with promo code FLOCK. And plus, you actually get a free bet for tonight. You have a Game 7 Jaylen Brown bet here. Half a point, higher or lower. Not a basketball fan, but I can say Jaylen Brown's probably going to score a point. So make sure you are taking advantage of that. And here's where Underdog drafts are available. Just in case you don't know, pause it. You can see that map. But anyway, if you're a member of flockfantasy.com as well, and you signed up to Underdog Fantasy, preferably with promo code FLOCK, but it doesn't matter if you're a paid member of flockfantasy.com and you have an Underdog account, go to your account page on flockfantasy.com, put in your Underdog username, and there's an extra $10 free credit that just gets added to your Underdog account. Worked my ass off to get you all that, so please make sure you're taking advantage. Now, Icy Prod says, who do you have, Boston or Miami? Personally, I don't know who wins. I mean, I won't be able to help you out with who's winning, but if I had to root for someone, I'm probably going to go ahead and root for Miami. I don't know. Generally don't love Boston sports fans. It seems like they are on the obnoxious side. Rex says, are people sleeping on Nick Chubb now that Kareem Hunt's gone? I really do like Nick Chubb. Now, the reason we go here with Devonta Smith is I think that you have a similar running back on the way back around for you. If you're looking at round 3 here, ask Nick Chubb. Like here, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Josh Jacobs. Whereas I really like taking Smith there at pick 22 when Jalen Hurts is still on the clock, right? I mean, if Jalen Hurts is still on the board, you've seen a lot of drafts where you can go through and you can take Devonta Smith there at pick 22 and then get Jalen Hurts, potentially making it back around to you at pick 27. Now, of course, in this draft, it doesn't happen, but I think that's such a high upside stack that I would want to go through and shoot for the stack there at the 2-3 turn when worst case scenario, instead of getting Nick Chubb, we end up getting Josh Jacobs, right? So in my mind, a good situation is to go Smith with the plan of Jalen Hurts on the way back around. Backup plan, we get a running back there like Josh Jacobs, like Derrick Henry. Now we have WG saying Devonta Smith over T. Higgins. A big thing is, obviously, if you're looking at a lot of these drafts that I do, you'll see me take T. Higgins over Devonta Smith. How I decide between the two wide receivers here is, if Jalen Hurts has already been drafted, I go T. Higgins. But if Jalen Hurts is on the board as well, and we have the possibility to get Jalen Hurts on the way back around in round 3, I go Devonta Smith. So if you're looking at my rankings in a vacuum, you'll see I do have T. Higgins ranked ahead of Smith. However, when you have the possibility of Jalen Hurts and Smith paired together, they're close enough for me to take a swing on that possibility, if that makes sense. So just to clear up anything, I know y'all are going to see a lot of drafts where I decided to take T. Higgins over Smith, a lot of other drafts where I decided to take Smith over Higgins, and that's going to be the explanation on why we'd make that decision one way or another. But James coming out says, let's go smash that like button. Yes, if y'all have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button. If we had 350 likes, we'll fire up another draft after this one. Okay. Adrian says, what's your exposure on the rookie quarterbacks so far this season? So now that Anthony Richardson's been falling a bit, I've actually been taking Anthony Richardson a little more. So, I mean, let me see the draft I had earlier today. I actually tweeted this draft out. If y'all didn't have a chance to see it, I really liked it. I mean, in that draft, I got Anthony Richardson at pick 102, and we paired him together with Michael Pittman, and they got Alec Pierce later on for the double stack, which I really liked. So you'll see that Anthony Richardson now is going back in the pick 100s where, I mean, beforehand, I mean, he rose quickly to where he was going like the 7th round in some of these drafts. So Anthony Richardson, now I have him in 7% of these drafts that he's fallen a bit. I'm happy to go back and take him. There was a good 2-week stretch there where we couldn't take him at all. Bryce Young, I have in 9% of the drafts. CJ Stroud, I have in 12%. And I've snuck in Will Levis in a few. I have Levis in 5%. Okay. Now let's move this down. Terry McLaurin goes 42. JCM says, how long did it take for you to make this your full-time job? Essentially, I think if you are thinking about going through and making fantasy football your quote-unquote full-time job, it's impossible to do if that's your plan going into it. The way that we kind of got here is I went through and made a fantasy football video every single day for years, was doing it just for fun. In my mind, there are very few things that are as fun as making fantasy football videos. So I probably made 300 to 400 fantasy football videos that were getting less than 100 views each. Like literally nobody was watching them. I was just doing it for fun. And then like 2 to 3 years into it, all of a sudden we actually got decent at making videos. So Frederick says, no message, just drop a like on the stream for In-N-Out. Yes, drop a like if you enjoy you some In-N-Out. And if you are a fellow Texan and you still think Whataburger is better than In-N-Out, even though Whataburger has gone downhill massively over the past few years, I have bad news for you. It's just a branding thing. I think people like Whataburger, and as I said, I grew up in Texas, live in Texas. I think the only reason people like Whataburger is because they have some cool colors. Okay, so, God, we've been killing this draft. In terms of our overall strategy, yeah, we're going to go ahead. We're going to get Jahmyr Gibbs here, round 5. So let me talk about my thought process in this and why we decided to take Justin Fields over Jahmyr Gibbs there. And first thing is you have to read the room, right? So if you're looking at this overall draft, I mean, you're getting a sense, okay, yeah, these drafters aren't in love with running backs. You have Najee Harris falling all the way down to 43. You have Travis Etienne falling all the way down to 45. So when we're on the clock at pick 46, I mean, we are in an interesting spot, right? So at 46, both Jahmyr Gibbs and Justin Fields are the guys that have fallen significantly past ADP. And, as those guys fall significantly past ADP, it piques my interest. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, let's try to build a unique team. I don't think there are going to be too many teams that are able to go through and draft Jahmyr Gibbs here, for instance. But the decision that we made into taking Justin Fields was based on a couple different things. One, as we already discussed, you read the room. You see the fact that Najee goes 43, Etienne goes 45, and that this room is probably a little bit lower on running backs than most. And on top of this, you have DJ Moore still available as well. So if we take Justin Fields here, who also has fallen a considerable amount past ADP, there's a possibility that on the way back around, we're going to be looking at getting the Justin Fields DJ Moore stack, which, yes, I was saying was not a value. And yes, we were avoiding it whenever people were taking them at the 3-4 turn. But here at the 4-5 turn, cost adjusted, I think it's actually a fine spot. So with the decision between Fields Gibbs, we go Fields with the assumption we'll either get DJ Moore or Jahmyr Gibbs on the way back around, most likely. And ends up, DJ Moore goes right before us. Jahmyr Gibbs makes it to pick 51. I think it's 100% the right decision, and excited about it. Okay. Now, Adrian says, Team 5 taking Tony Pollard over Saquon Barkley is crazy. I completely agree with you, my friend. 100%. Okay. Now, Brandon Ayuk goes off the board here at pick 60. Kyle Pitts, 59. Aaron Jones, 61. Okay, so let's swing this back around. The teardrop, I feel like, where it gets a little difficult is going to be here at the 6-7 turn. Like, don't get me wrong. If I had to choose my draft spot, I would choose an early first-round pick every single time, right? I think here, if you have that early first-round pick, you have easy decisions to make through the course of the draft. Like what we do at the 2-3 turn, easy decisions. What we do at the 4-5 turn, generally easy decisions. But where things begin to get difficult is once we're at like pick 70 range, I mean, it's going to be tough. Yeah. So one thing I do want to point out is you have a massive discrepancy in what some teams are doing here. You have No Soup for You. I've seen him in a lot of these high stakes drafts in Underdog. I mean, over the past few seasons, I've seen him mixing in these high stakes drafts. I mean, he's going to go with a hyper fragile build where he has CMC, Pollard, Ramadre, TJ Hawkinson, and Kenneth Walker out the gate. So he's not taking a single wide receiver so far. So I'd imagine that he's going to be in a position where you kind of have to go through and you have to slam some wide receivers here. So going to be very interested to see what he does at 5. My base assumption, and obviously I could easily be wrong when I say this, but if I consistently see people in high stakes underdog drafts with us where they're putting their money where their mouth is and they are getting in nonstop $250 drafts, $50 drafts, $500 drafts, my automatic assumption is they probably know what they're doing. So obviously they can go through and they can try out some new things. And yes, this draft looks very weird so far in what they've decided to do, but I don't know. Okay, what the hell am I doing here? Let's go for it. Let's send it. Let's go Trevor Lawrence, pick 70. Generally, I don't really know what to do at the 6-7 turn. Dalvin seems gross. Swift seems gross. The wide receivers aren't anything special. So we'll take Trevor Lawrence at pick 70, and then we are most likely going to be looking at this on the way back around. And of course, once we take Lawrence here, we're going to have Evan Ingram and Zay Jones as our targets a little later on. Okay. Ryan says, 4 RB and 2 tight end strategy. Personally, not something I do, but I don't know. Now, Rachaad White off the board at 72. I was in an underdog draft earlier this morning where we saw Rachaad White fall a considerable amount. I mean, we saw Rachaad White go in like the middle of the 8th round. Steve says, talk is Dalvin is in talks to stay in Minnesota. Yeah, I've actually mixed in some Dalvin Cook in these drafts. Like Dalvin Cook wasn't someone I was drafting at all at the beginning of the offseason, but I've actually taken Cook in a decent amount of spots. Like I took Dalvin Cook in the $500 draft that we are currently in. I think we took Dalvin in like the middle of the 7th round there. But we'll go ahead. We'll grab a wide receiver. We will take Deontay Johnson. And JCM says, I am a Burke believer. I'm not going to lie to you. I have an alarming amount of Treylon Burks and Derrick Henry together in these drafts. Like, it seems like a ton of these teams that I built have the combo of both Derrick Henry as well as Treylon Burks. So, I mean, if Tennessee ends up actually not being garbage this next season, which expectation is, Tennessee Titans are very bad, but I mean, if they're not, we're in a pretty good spot. Let me see how many Titans we have. Yeah, I have Derrick Henry. Oh my gosh. I have Derrick Henry more than I'd assume. Like I said, y'all know my strategy is round 3 running back in almost every single draft. So naturally, I'm going to have a lot of these round 3 running backs. Can y'all take a guess here? How many drafts, what percentage of drafts do you think I have Derrick Henry in? And historically speaking, I haven't been the big Derrick Henry truther. It's not like I'm sitting here drafting Derrick Henry all the time. What percentage of drafts? Austin says 19. Seth says 36. My man, I'm drafting over 700 teams on Underdog this year. I mean, I never go over like 20% on a player. Like, if you're only going to draft like 20 teams on Underdog, then of course, I mean, you can have some crazy percentages. But if I'm going to go over 700 teams, like y'all know, Josh Jacobs was my most drafted player last year, and I only had Jacobs in like 20% of drafts. So I have to cap myself. Like 20% is a lot for me. So 28, 60, 23, 18. Caliber gets it right. I believe it was 18. Let me double check. Maybe it's 17. Yeah, 18% of drafts here we have Derrick Henry in. Love Stars called it. Tank Wheels called it. Yeah, but keep in mind the context. I'm drafting over 700 teams on Underdog every offseason. So you have to be a little more balanced. We can't go all in on one player and then that guy gets injured a week 2 and it's like, okay, I just lost $8,000 like that. So we have to be a little more balanced here. It's Deggy says, I have 17 teams so far and have 29% Justin Jefferson. You're saying, hell no. I mean, if you're getting Justin Jefferson at 29% of your leagues, that just means you're getting the 101 very, very often. Okay, so let's swing this back around. We have some quarterbacks going. You have Dak going 87, which is intriguing. You have Anthony Richardson going 86 as well. Now, clearly, this is very good for us, right? Like when we go through and when we have the combo of both Justin Fields as well as Trevor Lawrence, we were really hoping that we see a decent amount of teams decide to go through and slam these quarterbacks in. We can no longer take a quarterback through the rest of this draft. So great for us to see QBs go off the board. Horrible for us to see Evan Ingram go at pick 88. Don't exactly know why that team went Ingram, but I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. Okay. Mike says, are we hitting 350 likes today, chat? Get those likes up. Yeah, if y'all have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If we hit 350 likes, we'll fire up another draft after this one. We have over 400 people watching this, so it should be really easy to go through and hit 350. And of course, if you want to get in our next draft with us, this is Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK and they'll get you a 100% deposit match. My 2023 fantasy football rankings. And on top of that, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Real quick, who the hell are we getting? We're definitely taking a running back, just which one. And then quick side note as well. I know that the majority of y'all, 99% are probably already on Underdog. It doesn't matter if you signed up to Underdog today with promo code FLOCK, a year ago with promo code FLOCK, 2 years ago with promo code FLOCK. The Jaylen Brown free bet should be live in everybody's app right now. I personally don't care too much about basketball, never talk about basketball, but you better believe I went through and bet that Jaylen Brown would have a point this next year. So Colton says, show the team, please. All right, so here's what we're rolling with, ladies and gentlemen. Wide receiver, we have Tyreek Hill, Devonta Smith, Deontay Johnson. Running back, we have Josh Jacobs, Jahmyr Gibbs, and now James Conner. Quarterback, we have the combo of Justin Fields as well as Trevor Lawrence. Personally, don't feel like it's too important to stack Justin Fields given the majority of his values coming on the ground. But at the same time, I do think we need to be targeting Zay Jones later on. Like, I really want to focus in on trying to get a Trevor Lawrence stack. Don't care at all, like we said, about getting the stack for Justin Fields. If it happens, if it happens. If it doesn't, who the hell cares? But we'll see. Kamara off. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take David Njoku. I'm sorry. I'm not drafting the wide receivers here. I'm not taking Sutton. I'm not taking Jameson. I wasn't a big fan of Jameson Williams before the suspension. So now with the suspension, there's almost no reason for me to take him. No soup for you. Most likely going Jameson Williams, we can assume. Let's see what they do. This is the team that was very, very interesting at the top of this that went through the first 7 rounds before they took a wide receiver. So yeah, they have CMC, Pollard, Ramadre, Kenneth Walker, running back. Tight end, they have Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert. Quarterback, they have Deshaun Watson. They go ahead and they take Jameson Williams here, pick 101. Really excited to see how that team looks at the very end. Okay. Now let's move this down. Juju Smith-Schuster off the board at 102. Adrian says, I love James Conner in that range. Yeah, in my mind, James Conner is just a much, much better pick than really anybody else you're going to see at the 8-9 turn. The primary issue that you're going to have with James Conner, of course, is this is a running back that at the end of the day, I mean, is going to be possibly in the worst offense in the NFL, which isn't great, but I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay. Dave says, I feel like it's not as important to go heavy wide receiver early this year. I'm almost the exact opposite. I think that in general, I'm going to be grabbing a couple anchor wide receivers, such as what we do at the very top with the combination of Devonta Smith as well as Tyreek Hill. And then I'm not going to spend as many roster spots on wide receiver. I think in the later rounds, wide receiver is just such a bad value proposition here in these underdog drafts currently that I would much prefer going through, and I'd much prefer trying to use an extra roster spot on tight end, use an extra roster spot on running back. And I'm almost planning the majority of my teams here to be rolling with a running back in the flex spot in these underdog drafts for this next season. Okay. Alex says, Mason, any clue in the next sub $10 draft is dropping? I personally have no idea, my friend. Now, it could be tomorrow, could be a week from now, could be a month. I have no idea. I'm assuming based on how fast these drafts are filling up, that it's relatively soon. I don't know if they're going to do like a Poodle 3 or a Puppy 2. And maybe it's something completely different. I don't know, my friend. I don't know. Steve says, 9th round Pat Frymuth is crazy. Yeah, personally, I love Pat Frymuth 106. Like if you're looking at Frymuth going in the range of Allen Lazard, Juju, Jameson Williams, Sutton, crazy value for Pat Frymuth in my mind. Okay, Geno off the board. Great for us. Hopefully we see a Kirk Cousins selection sometime soon. And we have a balanced team, right? So the only thing that we can't really do is take a quarterback here. Like it doesn't matter if Kirk Cousins fell to around 13. We were not taking Kirk Cousins when we have Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. Ian says, I view Pat as a top 5 tight end. I think he's pretty damn close. Kurt says, I DM'd Underdog yesterday. They said puppy or Pomeranian soon. Hell yes. Hell yes. Jack says, hey, Mason, I joined Underdog last year. Do I get access to your 2023 rankings? I'm very sorry, my friend. If you signed up for Underdog last year with promo code FLOCK, you got our 2022 fantasy football rankings. If you signed up this year with promo code FLOCK, you get our 2023 fantasy football rankings. You can find our rankings, my man, on flockfantasy.com. And if you go sign up for flockfantasy.com and go throw your Underdog name on the account page, you get a free $10 added to your Underdog account. So I think the lowest sub that we have on flockfantasy.com is $13. So if you go through and sign up for flockfantasy.com with promo code FLOCK for 30% off, you get our rankings for $13, then get $10 on Underdog. So you essentially get them for $3. Okay, now. KD says, how much Amon-Ra St. Brown have you taken? I'm not going to lie to you. I have not taken much wide receiver at the beginning of the second round this year. I'll go through and I'll show the draft board off. I'll show like why we haven't taken a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown, but here we're going to be looking at Zay Jones. Like I said, I'll be fine, quote unquote, reaching here a little bit for our stack with Trevor Lawrence. You have Zay Jones, ADP 124. We're taking him 123. It's not that much of a reach. But a big thing is, don't really care about like having to take Darnell Mooney with Justin Fields, for instance. Justin Fields is going to have all the rushing upside in the world, but we get sniped here. Pick 122 decides to take Zay Jones, I guess, because they like Zay Jones. I don't freaking know. And most smart people would say, okay, go ahead and take Darnell Mooney here. Darnell Mooney pairs up with Justin Fields. Like I said, personally, I don't really care too much. If we get Cole Kmet on the way back around, I'd be fine with that. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Antonio Gibson just because I think Antonio Gibson's a much better pick than Darnell Mooney. And at the same time, I don't feel the rush to go through and stack with Justin Fields as we would have with Trevor Lawrence. Okay. So let's go down. Let's show this off. Wide receiver, we have Tyreek, Devonta Smith, Deontay Johnson, Odell Beckham Jr. Running back, we have Josh Jacobs, Jahmyr Gibbs, James Conner, Antonio Gibson. Quarterback, we have Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence. Tight end, we have David Njoku. So I like the team. Okay. Kami says, Detroit's rookie tight end is going to be the star of this class. I have not taken Laporta at all. Literally at all. I, in general, hate drafting rookie tight ends. I don't have much Dalton Kincaid. I probably don't have any Laporta. Let me see about these rookie tight ends. Okay. I have Sam Laporta. It's funny. Underdog shows that I have him in 0% of my drafts because I've drafted 120 teams, or probably like 122 at this point, and I've taken him in 1. So it's less than 1%, Sam Laporta. Michael Mayer, I have in 3% of my drafts. Kincaid, I have in 8%. I honestly am surprised to see that I have that much Dalton Kincaid in general at ADP. I don't like Dalton Kincaid's price point. Okay. Ryan says, thoughts on Anthony Richardson finishing top 10 to 12? I would say it's probably likely that you're seeing Anthony Richardson at the end of the year, particularly in the fantasy football playoffs, going out there and averaging a top 10 quarterback finish at the minimum. He's being drafted about the QB 10, QB 11 right now. So saying that you could see Anthony Richardson as the top 10 quarterback by no means is a hot take. Like, if Anthony Richardson is not a top 10 quarterback, if anything, it's disappointing. I think if you're looking at the final season numbers, you probably have Anthony Richardson, like, from a points per game perspective, around like QB 13, 14, like a little bit below where he's being drafted right now. But to be fair, I think if we're trying to optimize for the fantasy football playoffs, you get the majority of Anthony Richardson's value in the fantasy football playoffs in particular. So I think that Richardson is a fine pick when he falls past his ADP. Like I said, we went through and we took him at pick 102 in a draft this morning. When he goes here at like pick 86, like he did in this draft, then I'm not interested. So it's very dependent on the draft room that you're in with where you'll see Anthony Richardson go off here. Okay. Mike says, hey, Mason, let's say Hopkins goes to the Jets. Are we dropping Garrett Wilson down a bit? Hell yes, I'm dropping Garrett Wilson down in that case. But let me show off real quick why I haven't been drafting much Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle in general. The primary reason I'm not drafting those guys, and of course this is just my personal preference, is I view Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley in the same tier as Bijan Robinson and Austin Eckler. I think you have CMC by himself, tier 1. Then I think tier 2, you have Bijan, Eckler, Jonathan Taylor, and Saquon Barkley. And in the vast majority of these drafts, you are able to get Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley after Amon-Ra St. Brown, after Garrett Wilson, after Chris Olave, after Jalen Waddle. So personally, I am taking the running backs there. I'm going with Barkley. I'm going with Taylor over any wide receiver that is after CeeDee Lamb. I think after Lamb, you get the teardrop there. So generally, I've been drafting a lot of those early round 2 running backs. Okay. Do we just take Komet? Yeah. We'll take Komet. I don't think he's that different than the tight end in Tennessee. Obviously, we're getting the pair with Justin Fields here. And if we take Cole Kmet and David Njoku on the same roster, I think we have the flexibility where we don't have to take another tight end in this draft. Now, if we have another tight end that we really like falling to us, I think we can take a third if we really wanted to. Unlike quarterback. Where quarterback, we can't take a third guy, right? We have Fields and Lawrence. We're done at 2. Tight end, I think we have the flexibility to build around 2 or 3. It's just going to depend on where the value falls in the rest of this draft. Okay. Jeep Guy says, just got here, like the full background. Thank you, my friend. Let me know, how big of a deal is it for us to have like this versus this? You know, essentially just having flockfantasy.com on the screen at all times to advertise flockfantasy.com. I know, obviously, if all else was equal, we have this at all times. But it's a weighing thing. Is this 10% worse? Is this 20% worse? Is this 30% worse? Because at some point, your boy has to eat some food. So let me know. Okay, so we're going to have do we want to go Chark? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take DJ Chark here. I'm not a big believer in Jonathan Mingo. I think Chark can have some spike weeks. And yeah, Hyatt, someone I'm not drafting at all. I mean, there's just no reason in my mind to draft Jalen Hyatt. Okay, so let's move this down. Okay, so let's see. Rex says, didn't even notice till you brought it up. Advertise like crazy. Cleaner to have just face. Doesn't matter much. Definitely prefer full. 80% worse. Get the bag, Mason. It's classy, Mason. I don't know which one's classy. The plants? Assuming obviously. I know the full background looks better. That's not really up for debate. But it's... How many people do we get to sign up for flockfantasy.com if it's always on the screen versus how many do we get to sign up if it's not always on the screen? If the difference is 1 to 2% negligible, then of course we'll go ahead and we will do full background. If the difference is 50%, where someone's 50% more likely to sign up for flockfantasy.com if it's always on the screen, then we have to do the background, unless it just makes the videos 10 times worse, So that's why it's like, it's not as, we're probably going to mix it up. We'll probably do a little bit of the two, like how you've seen. We've had it like half the draft. I've had it off half the draft. So it's probably what we'll do that's probably what we'll do. Is just mix it in and out. Because I completely agree. Y'all know, I mean, I say this all the time. I don't really watch any fantasy football YouTube, but I am all I do is watch YouTube videos. From the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, I have a YouTube video going. Of course, we're usually working during that time and it's on another monitor, but I am a crazy YouTube person. That's all I watch. So if I was watching someone and they had it, I don't know if I definitely wouldn't like it. I'd rather they didn't have it, but I don't know how much of a big deal it would be, But let's see what happens here throughout the rest of the draft. Sam Laporta ends up going at 155. I know we had someone coming out here saying Sam Laporta was great, blah, blah, blah. Let me know the thought process here on Sam Laporta and let me know why you would be so excited about him. Okay. Kay says, would you happen to know the date you drafted your $100,000 winning lineup? Yeah, so, and I'll go through now. I'm going to react to the live stream. I'm going to make a lot of content around that as we get closer to the season. If y'all don't know, I mean, we won $150,000 on Underdog last year. And yes, I will be looking at those teams that we won some big prizes with in depth as we get closer to the season. It's more like it's May right now. We are all sickos that are into fantasy football in May, but I would rather go through and wait until the casuals are more so watching videos closer to the beginning of the season, because those videos are going to do numbers, Sam says trade Tony for Akers or Roshan in a 10-team Superflex format. I personally would rather have Cam Akers over Kadarius Toney. I would. Eric says, did you live stream the winner? Yeah, so what's crazy is, so y'all know I won $100,000 in the Big Dog tournament. So we won the Big Dog tournament. That was live streamed. Our winning team. Also, we won $20,000. We won the Bulldog 2 tournament. That was a slow draft, so it wasn't live streamed. But after we drafted the team, I made a video talking about my thought process with each pick. So we're going to be able to review that video as well. I won $10,000 with the Best Ball Mania team as well. I got 16th place in Best Ball Mania, which of course, if you get first place, it's freaking $3 million. So it's pretty big deal to get that high in Best Ball Mania as well. That's why I say I think we had better results this past season than literally anybody else. I do not know if we made any content around the Best Ball Mania team. I don't know if it's just some random team that I drafted at the gym or something, or I don't know if we did it on a live stream. So I'm going to have to do a little more research into that, but we definitely are going to be able to look at what we did with the... We'll go ahead. We'll take Raheem Mostert. I'm not a big Mostert fan, but here he falls 14 picks past ADP. We need a running back, but we'll be able to go and look in depth of what we did with the Big Dog team, with what we did with the Bulldog 2 team, possibly the Best Ball Mania team. Of course, we can recap like the Best Ball Mania team and we can look at it. I just don't know if we're going to be able to react to a live stream or to react to a video, of course. Okay. Now, Wan'Dale goes 167. I really like Wan'Dale Robinson. I honestly think I would rather have Wan'Dale Robinson over Jalen Hyatt straight up. Like, if you were going to tell me Wan'Dale's not very, very injured, like if Wan'Dale Robinson's not going to miss a large chunk of this next season, I would probably rather have Wan'Dale straight up over Jalen Hyatt. And you're obviously getting him 3 rounds past ADP. I mean, okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a wide receiver. We'll take Josh Downs. If you're looking at the rookie wide receivers right now, I think Josh Downs does present a lot of value for you here. Obviously, the issue is he's not necessarily a big play wide receiver, which is kind of what we're looking for at this point of the draft, right? With these wide receivers, you want someone that could possibly go through and spike into your starting lineup. Whereas if you're looking at Josh Downs, he's more like the slot wide receiver that can possibly rack up a decent amount of targets. We're not guaranteed that's going to happen, though. You don't really know what the fit's going to be like with Anthony Richardson. You don't really know how good Anthony Richardson is. But nonetheless, I mean, I'm going to be completely fine going through and taking Josh Downs. I like the prospect. Not only did I like the prospect, but he gets 3rd round NFL draft capital. And most importantly, he's at a very reasonable price here. I would also rather have Josh Downs probably than Jalen Hyatt. And Hyatt goes pick 140 and Josh Downs goes in the 170s. Okay. So Joaquin coming out of the donation. Thank you, my man. Says Gainwell's my most drafted player. League winner at ADP. Was able to get him in the 200s and late 190s a while ago. Super injury prone running back room. I've mixed in Kenneth Gainwell at ADP. I haven't necessarily been going out of my way and trying to target him in every single draft. I will say with Kenneth Gainwell, obviously it's an elite offense where there are a lot of rushing touchdowns to go around. My main issue is I would be a little bit worried that if you see Kenneth Gainwell ever be in a spot where he has to be the starting running back for Philadelphia, where you have an injury to DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny's not good to go, maybe at that point you actually get the Philadelphia Eagles going through and investing into a different running back. Going through and signing a veteran. Zeke going to Philadelphia would make so much sense. But Rhett coming out says, I know rookie tight ends are typically bad, but this year I feel like it could be different. Green Bay, Dallas, Detroit, and even Buffalo with high upside. The thing is, and trust me, I've done it so many times before as well. So many times. We go in and we say, yeah, we know rookie tight ends are bad. We know they never produce, but this year's different for reasons X, Y, and Z. So I don't know. Clark's Film says picks for game 7. Okay, so if y'all don't know, this is the number 1 pick you need to be taking for pick 7 on Underdog. I took this and parlayed it with a Bam Adebayo under 16.5 points or fewer than 16.5 points. Of course, I'm an idiot though, so I'm not someone you should be asking for with basketball picks. That's why the only time I talk about them is when Underdog goes through and throws out a free bet. And that's available for everybody right now on Underdog. It doesn't matter if you signed up with promo code FLOCK 2 years ago, today. I mean, you should be able to open your app and go take advantage of that right now. Even if you sign up an hour from now, it'll be there. Just make sure you take it literally. Close out. I would never tell anybody to close out this live stream, but I know 99% of y'all are on Underdog. And I would say close out this live stream right now to go and take advantage of that ASAP before you forget. Come right back to the live stream, but make sure you take advantage of that. Okay. Charles says 11 more likes. Yeah, if y'all have not done so already, hit the like button. If we get to 350, we are hopping in another Underdog draft after this. Looks like we're only 11 more likes away. So if you're one of the 11 people that have not dropped a like in the live stream, fix your life and go take advantage of that. Okay. Now, Richard James, 192. Okay. Yeah, we take Isaiah Hodgins. I don't know. I don't like Jalen Hyatt. Maybe Hodgins can be something. Gesicki goes. If this was Best Ball Mania, I'd probably only take 2 tight ends. But specifically because this is a smaller tournament where if you're looking at this, instead of this being Best Ball Mania with hundreds of thousands of entrants, this is a tournament with only 5,500 entrants. And because of this, you don't need to draft for the highest ceiling possible and completely ignore your floor. Your floor matters a little bit here, right? So we'll take a 3rd tight end. We'll queue up another wide receiver after this because we definitely need one. But honestly, we're just going to queue up some wide receivers and go hop into another draft real quick. And our next one, we'll do another $50 draft. No, we're burning through our Underdog. I don't know. We'll see what's going on here. Maybe we should have taken Chase Claypool to stack with Justin Fields. But you live and you learn. You make idiotic decisions like we do on a daily basis. So let's go ahead. Let's queue up these wide receivers. And then let's bounce into our next draft here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be getting in another Chow Chow draft. Okay, so there are 8 spots open if you want to get in this one with us. Joaquin says, do you change the strategy in a tourney versus a 12-person draft? Yeah, so if you're going to get in a regular 12-person draft on Underdog, what you really need to understand is they do not have the fantasy football playoff tournament there, where you are not trying to optimize for weeks 15, 16, and 17. Instead, it is going to be total points scored throughout the course of the entire season. So if it's total points scored through the course of the entire season, then instead we should be going through and we should be trying to just change the build to have fewer wide receivers, to be honest, and an extra running back. Leslie in here at the 101. Happy to see it. We see Bush right next to us at 7. Blaze is a member of the flock. I believe that is Matthew Blaisdell. He's at 6. No soup for yous in this draft. Again, Tommy knows a member of the flock here at 12. Fully loaded. I don't know if we're just used to seeing them a lot in these high stakes drafts or if they're a member of the flock. I just know we see them a lot out here. But yeah, Tommy knows in here at 12. Happy to see it, my friend. Definitely happy to see it. Tristan in here at pick 11. Austin pick 8. Matthew says, been a while since I've been in one. Happy to have you, my man, as always. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, let's see. Ink 69 steady on the clock. Matthew says, good to be back. NBF says, get weird and take Bijan Robinson here. I don't know. Bush says, Ayo, so Soup, what's your name in here? Did you see the draft we were in with Jefferson at 3? Is no Soup for you a member of the flock? Or I know we very similar to Fully Loaded. See them in a ton of drafts. My assumption is they're just in high stakes drafts and Underdog every time we join. I don't know. Maybe they're a member of the flock. Maybe they watch this live stream. Maybe they think I'm an idiot. They watch this live stream just to have an idea of what I'm going to be doing, because obviously we say generally what we're going to be doing in here. Okay. Kit Kat Kid says, go wild, Mason. Do something crazy. A $5 draft. Yeah, maybe we will go ahead and maybe we'll get a little crazy. This is a $50 draft, my friend. So it's going to matter a little bit more. Robert says, can't wait to see No Soup's team this time. They don't usually like go completely crazy like they did in the last one. At least if I'm remembering correctly. Like last one, they didn't take a wide receiver till round 8. Let me see what their team ended up with last time. I'm just going to look at this on my phone. So last time they had Watson, Jordan Love at quarterback. Running back, they had CMC, Tony Pollard, Ramadre, Kenneth Walker, Ezekiel Elliott. Tight end, they have Hawkinson, Goddard. Wide receiver, they have Elijah Moore, Jameson Williams, Jonathan Mingo, Michael Gallup, Jaden Reed, John Mechie, Paris Campbell, Khalil Shakir, and McCole Hardman. Yeah, I don't like it. Okay. KP says, get even weirder and take CeeDee Lamb. One other thing that I do want to point out is when we're in this $50 draft where it's a little bit of a smaller field as well, while building a unique team is still definitely going to be important, building a weird team in like a 5,500 person tournament versus a tournament like Best Ball Mania, which has a $15 million prize pool, it's not nearly as important, if that makes sense. So we have like a weird build here from Tommy Nose, Taylor Chrysalave, which I think maybe having a weird build like that, maybe quote unquote reaching on Olave over Adams, Garrett Wilson could be decent in the spot where you're drafting in like Best Ball Mania, right? And nobody else is going to do it. Here, I don't think it's as advantageous. Okay, so let's swing this around. Mahomes goes. We're going to stick with our usual plan. I mean, this is what we generally do. And generally, I really like the way our teams look. We're going to reach on a wide receiver here. Now, in a vacuum, of course, we have to explain this every single time. I would rather have Nick Chubb over T. Higgins. But in consideration of the running backs versus wide receivers we will have available to us in round 3, I would rather take Higgins over Chubb and make that mistake than have to take Calvin Ridley over Breece Hall. So we will go ahead and we'll just queue up these RBs. I do prefer Breece Hall over Ramondre in a vacuum, but at the same time, the way ADP is shaking out right now, there's like an outside chance that you actually have Breece Hall falling to like the late third. So we pivoted over from an exposure standpoint, and I will take Ramondre over Hall. Lamar goes pick 25. Allen 26. This team's real interesting here. Allen, Chase, Devonta Smith. Pollard goes. Okay, Jacobs off the board. We'll go ahead. We'll take Ramondre Stevenson. Like I said, maybe we're making the mistake. Maybe the combination of Chubb and Metcalf would be better. But I personally think Higgins, Ramondre is a better pairing than Chubb Metcalf or Chubb Ridley. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. Eric says only 58 teams in the final. It's even more than I would assume. Bernie says, love the content, brother. Keep grinding. Thank you so much, my man. Thank you so much. Now, Hopkins goes off the board, pick 34. So where is Hopkins going now? Is this where Hopkins is more so going to be? I have not drafted Hopkins since he was cut, just because I already have so much DeAndre Hopkins. It's like, okay, do we really need to be going through and taking him much higher than where we were? The time he was cut, we had like 15% Hopkins. Because we've done a decent amount of drafts and haven't taken him since, it's fallen down a little bit to 13% because you'll see a lot of drafts where he goes here, pick 34. Okay, Adrian says, I'd take Hopkins over Ridley. Once we get confirmation of the landing spot, I could see if he finds himself in a really good situation, I'd be fine with it. Chief Smoke says he went 47 in the draft I was in the other night. Hell yeah, I'll take Hopkins there. Eric says, I get my wide receiver, but I take Chubb over Higgins. Okay. Grant says, what about going Chubb and Ramondre? A big thing is I personally love the running back value that you have later on. Like here, we get Najee Harris at the 408, right? So in these underdog drafts, in my mind, there's not really debate at this point. Wide receivers are overdrafted across the board, in my mind. But at the same time, you need wide receivers, and you can't ignore what's going on. You can't sit here and take 10 running backs in a row, right? So I think you can make an argument almost at every spot. I think you can make an argument, well, Mason, come on, Chubb's better than Higgins, right? But it's more about the opportunity cost, where I want to be picking my spots at running back. And going back to our example of where we reach on T. Higgins at pick 20, I would rather have the combo of T. Higgins and Najee Harris than the combo of Nick Chubb and DJ Moore. So that's why we're going to go ahead, and that's why we will make the quote-unquote bad pick in the early rounds so we can make the advantageous pick in the middle rounds. And this is why I recommend, like, if you are getting into underdog drafts for the first time, I would probably rather you hop in like a cheap $5, $7 underdog draft, get your feet wet, have a little fun, just explore around. Don't be hopping into the high stakes drafts on underdog immediately. Definitely have some fun and test some things out first. Okay, so where did the tight ends go in this draft? Andrews 32, Kelsey 36. Kelsey pick 6. We'll go with the unique build. We'll take Hawkinson. Don't necessarily know if it's the correct decision. Kirk would also be in play for us here. We'll go ahead and we will do it. And of course, if you want to get in an Underdog draft with us, link in the live chat, promo code FLOCK, 100% a positive match. These are the states that Underdog drafts are available in. So pretty much everywhere. Okay, 90% of the country has Underdog drafts. Everywhere in Canada as well, outside of Ontario. And make sure, I know 99% of y'all are already on Underdog. So go take advantage of the Game 7 special that they have with Jaylen Brown here. The free bet. Really, the only time I take like an Underdog prop with the NBA side of things, because I don't know anything about the NBA, is whenever they have those free ones for us. And they've been having a lot of free ones lately. Now, Bushes decides to go with another wide receiver here. He goes Kirk at 55. So he took Calvin Ridley at 31. So I'm assuming that he's going to be going Lawrence on the way back around at 66. Bush says going to go with the 7 wide receiver builds. Interesting. I'm excited to see your team, my friend. Lawrence goes 59. So actually, you're not going to get Trevor Lawrence on the way back around. Don't really see why that team goes Lawrence. Like I said, we took Lawrence unstacked in the draft earlier today, but we got Lawrence pick 70 unstacked. So I don't know. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, my man. That's a little painful. Usually if you take, say, Calvin Ridley as well as Christian Kirk, you assume that, okay, yeah, we're most likely going to get Lawrence on the way back around. Chef EV says, do you go for the Jamar Higgins stack often? Yeah, if T. Higgins makes it to us at the 2-3 turn on a Jamar Chase build, I'll go ahead and I'll take T. Higgins there. Right? Primarily because I like T. Higgins at that price. I like Jamar Chase where he goes. Like, I mean, we took T. Higgins pick 20 here with this team. Of course, I'll take T. Higgins if he makes it back to us at the 211. Now, Lockett goes 64. JSN 65. Bushes takes George Kittle. I was really hoping we were going to get Kittle on the way back around. We'll go ahead and we'll take Dameon Pierce here at 68. So going back to what we were talking about previously, this is why we take the wide receivers a little early. That way, here, pick 68, we are able to go through and we're able to take a Dameon Pierce, right? In my mind, love this Dameon Pierce value. And you'll see in other drafts, Kadarius Toney goes here. So, yeah. I mean, it's crazy to see that you actually have Kittle falling this far. Yeah, Kittle at 66 is crazy. I wonder if we would have passed on Hawkinson, if that would have added a little bit of juice to the tight end falling into possibly we would have had Kittle on the way back around. Obviously, I don't want to go through these what-if scenarios when it's impossible to know exactly how it would have been. But Zin says, is Dameon Pierce going to be good? Hell, I was not drafting Dameon Pierce in the 6th round last year whenever everybody was hyping him up. And honestly, they were right to hype him up. I was the idiot last year to be avoiding Dameon Pierce in round 6. But now that you have CJ Stroud, and in my mind, probably a better offense, and Dameon Pierce proved himself this past season, I'm completely fine to go through and take Dameon Pierce round 6 now. Traylon Burks off the board, so that means we're not going to take a wide receiver. I'm not taking Kadarius Toney here. Matt says, is it smart to not draft stacks because it would give you lineup diversity because so many people are trying for stacks? This is 100% something I've been thinking about, not necessarily avoiding stacks, but this goes back into my thought process and what we talk about a lot in not reaching for your stacks, right? Because essentially everybody knows at this point, you want to be creating correlation in your starting lineup. Everybody understands that. So when you're going through and when you're reaching to get a stack, of course, you are going up against a lot of other teams. The perfect example always to go, and look at, say, Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. There are a lot of teams that take Jefferson and Cousins. So do you want to be the team that takes Kirk Cousins at pick 96 to stack with Justin Jefferson? Or we had a team on the live stream yesterday or the day before where we got Kirk Cousins at pick 120. So personally, we still want to be targeting stacks. It has been proven to be effective. But in a large field tournament, you don't want to be reaching for your stacks, at least in my mind. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Dalvin Cook, pick 77. I like it. I like it. Alex says, Mason had a dream. I'm not going to lie to you. I had a wild dream last night. Like usually I'll have fantasy football dreams. Like, to be honest, I think probably the majority of us do, especially when you consider like how large fantasy football is in my life. This is all, I don't say all I think about, but pretty much 90% of what I think about. But very rarely is it like an in-depth dream, right? Like I'll have a dream where like Jahmyr Gibbs goes out there and breaks out week 1, where Jahmyr Gibbs is like 200 rushing yards. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. I had a dream that was very specific that DeAndre Hopkins not only signed to the Kansas City Chiefs, but this is where it gets weird because that happened. And then I was in an underdog draft. And I swear to God, I'm not making this up. I dreamed this last night. And then I was sitting there at the 2-3 turn. And I think the reason is because we talked about this a couple days ago. And I was sitting there at the 2-3 turn trying to make the decision, oh, do I take Devonta Smith or do I take DeAndre Hopkins now that he's in Kansas City? Like I was like in an underdog draft actually thinking about that, which, yeah, like I said, I'll have fantasy football dreams, but it was one of the more like intense, like in-depth fantasy football dreams I've ever had. Okay. Adrian says, I can't say I've ever had a fantasy football dream. My man, you are a weirdo then. If you've never had a fantasy football dream, something's wrong with you. Okay. Now, James Conner off the board, pick 90. So we only have Kupp and Higgins. We'll probably take a wide receiver here. Sutton goes, so we're going to go ahead. We'll take Zay Flowers. Don't know if he's going to be any good. We need a wide receiver. The running backs that are going to be available to us in the next round, probably, I kind of want to take them as well, so I'll probably take our 5th running back and then be done with it. But let's go ahead and let's take Zay Flowers at pick 92. So far, wide receiver, we are currently sitting with Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins, Zay Flowers. Running back, we have Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris, Damian Pierce, Dalvin Cook. Tight end, we have Hawkinson, a very different build than what we had with the team previous to this. Like, this is completely different. Okay. Now let's move this down. Bateman goes 94. Would have been really cool having Bateman make it back around to us, pick 101, and get the correlation in there with the Baltimore Ravens, both at value that way. Just very unlikely that would happen, right? Bush says, first Connor pick in 140 drafts. Interesting, my man. Obviously, it fits the build well. Decent value as well. Are you just not a Connor guy because the offense? Let me know. Okay, Jamison Williams, 98. Let's swing this back around. So if we're looking at potential quarterbacks, Dak Prescott, if we were to take him, we can go Gallup, Ferguson a little later on. Tua, we could go with Devon Achane a little later on. Cousins would pair up with Hawkinson. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Evan Ingram and then be done at tight end. Y'all know generally I'm avoiding wide receivers in this range. Like in my mind, there's just no real reason to take Thomas. Obviously, we are so heavy on running back as is. A big thing is as well, while Kirk Cousins is already falling past his ADP, if you think about it, a big reason why, and we just got done talking about this, but a big reason why Kirk Cousins has an ADP where it is because most people take Kirk Cousins at either pick 96 or 97 to pair up with Justin Jefferson, right? So if instead we can go through and pass that Jefferson team, if the Jefferson team doesn't take him, he's probably going to fall a decent amount. Now, the guy that we have to worry about drafting Cousins is going to be no soup for you on the way back around at pick 112. He does have Jordan Addison, so he can go ahead if he really wants. He can pull the trigger on Kirk Cousins. Obviously, not a guarantee that he does it, but we'll see. We'll see. There's a chance we're looking at Cousins, pick 116. Okay. And then if we were to take Cousins there, we have Dalvin, we have Hawkinson. So if Dalvin does restructure a contract and ends up staying in Minnesota, could be interesting. Todd Mino says, you know who I'm waiting for? I'll be so mad if I get sniped. Assuming you were talking Frymuth, my man. Yeah. And honestly, I love the value of Frymuth. You already know I've said this a million times, but I like seeing you take Freiermuth here as well whenever we have the combo personally of Hawkinson and Ingram, and we're done drafting tight ends. So this is probably going to be a team where we draft 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 8 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. So Rodgers goes 111, and then No Soup for You decides to take Damian Harris. So it does look like we're probably going to get... Bush just takes Cousins. What the hell, my man? What the hell? Okay, now I'm completely gone here. That threw me off a bit. Did we just take Tyler Boyd? Yeah, we'll take Tyler Boyd. In general, some of the running backs that I'm looking at on the way back around in the 11th round, I like just as much, if not more than Devon Achane, if not more than Rashad Penny. So we'll go Tyler Boyd and figure out the rest. Jeep guy says permaban for Bush. Honestly, we may have to. We honestly may have to, my friend. Brutal. Tesla says, take a shot on Devon Achane. I mean, honestly, I don't even like Devon Achane, but I feel like we have him in too many drafts. Like, let me pull this up. I have him in 8% of drafts, which in my mind is not good. The reason I usually take him is like, okay, well, he's fallen 10 picks past his ADP. I have no freaking idea who takes him before his ADP because every single draft I'm in, he falls behind his ADP. I don't think I've ever seen him go before. Obviously, we're exaggerating a bit there, but still. Okay, so let's move this over. The unvaccinated on the clock. Let's see what they decide to do. Well-balanced team, they can do pretty much anything. I doubt they take another quarterback. They go with Darnell Mooney, so we'll take Khalil Herbert. Going back to what we were talking about previously when we take Tyler Boyd, I mean, Khalil Herbert, in my mind, is a running back that I think you can make an argument over Devon Achane. So I think maybe you'd rather have Herbert here a little bit more, but I don't know. I would definitely rather have the combo of Boyd and Khalil Herbert rather than Devon Achane and then, like, not Sky Moore, like Rashee Rice. You couldn't even take Sky Moore there. Okay. Michael says, Mason, did you ever decide if you're getting a treadmill for your desk? Debating if I want one. I was strongly considering it. I found one off Amazon for like $200. I think it would be a business expense. So obviously that knocks it down a bit. I asked my mom what she thought. She thought I should get a treadmill desk. And she said no. So I took the old lady's advice, decided maybe no for it. For now. One thing I'm a little concerned about too is my standing desk is like only has this much clearance. So I don't know. All I know is if you get one, my friend, let me know how it is. Let me know how it is. Okay, now Hyatt goes 133, someone we weren't looking at. And now we're done at running back as well. So it'd be great for us to see as many running backs and tight ends off the board as possible. So seeing Elijah Mitchell, even if I love the Mitchell value, seeing Jamal Williams, Condre Miller, Dalton Kincaid, Jarrett McKinnon, Dalton Schultz, Cole Kmet, the year 2 tight end in Tennessee, all good for us. All good for us. Roshan goes 137. Swing this back around. Rashee Rice goes. So interesting to see Rice falling. I mean, I guess the big reason is people are looking at the possibility of Hopkins going over to Kansas City. I'd say Rice pick 139 is a selection that I would be very excited about if Hopkins does not go to KC. Lunar says, I just got off mine. It's the best thing I own. Is there anybody else that has a treadmill desk that has any feedback on it? So I got a standing desk, and I convinced myself that I'd use the standing desk a ton, like I would use the standing desk feature. I probably am sitting at my desk 90% of the time. I would say it's probably a 90-10 split. I sit 90% of the time and stand 10. Maybe if I had a treadmill to walk on, it'd be a little bit of a better split. Adrian says, the year 2 tight end in Tennessee is a nice meme. Let's keep it going. Oh, we're definitely going to do it. I hope he becomes great as well. Like, I hope he's the next Travis Kelce. That way in 2030, I can go on the year 7 Tennessee tight ends. Eric says, I got a rowing machine I never used. You can't work with the rowing machine. How the hell could you do that? Brian says, you can get a walking pad and stuff it under the standing desk. That was my plan. Yeah. It's like the little walking pad. I was calling it a treadmill desk. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Alec Pierce off the board. What I was really hoping for is I was really hoping that we were going to get DJ Chark on the way back around and pair up Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, make a couple different bets. 1, Jonathan Mingo is not as good as people think. 2, possibly get Bryce Young later on for a stack. We're going to take Russ. We don't have anybody in Denver, which obviously isn't ideal, but at the same time, we're getting Russ 16, 17 picks past ADP. We so desperately need a quarterback. We could possibly be looking at Marvin Mims a little later on. We could also be looking at Tim Patrick a little later on as well. So we are going to get Russ because we need a quarterback and nobody else here looks any good. Okay. Matthew says, no, how could you snipe my Russ stack? Okay, Matthew, here's what I'm going to need you to do for me. I'm going to need you to look over to your right. Look at the guy there named Bushes and place the blame over there. Yes, you have Judy, you have Sutton. I understand you were going for the Russ double stack at value. I have Dalvin and Hawkinson, and I was going for the Cousins double stack at value. But because Bushes decides to go through and take Cousins there 114, sadly, my friend, I'm in so desperate need of a quarterback. So don't blame me. Blame the guy to your right. All right? Blame the guy to your right. Okay. I blame you both. Bush says, the strat is magical when you aren't sniping left and right. So Bush as Jamal, Jalen Warren, Tyler Algier. Interesting call with Warren there, my friend. It does look a little early for Warren. Matthew says, just got Hurts and Higgins at the 2-3 turn. Love it, my friend. Love it. Flock on flock violence, yeah. Everybody in the flock needs to calm down here a bit. Let's flock and calm down. Okay, now Young goes 158. Young would have been in play for us. We have Adam Thielen. Of course, this is going to be a team where we take 3 quarterbacks. I mean, if we sit here and wait until round 13 to grab our first QB, we're taking 3 QBs. Okay, Van Jefferson goes 160. We may not even get Marvin Mims on the way back around. Rondell Moore goes. Rondell Moore is, I mean, now you actually see him go before ADP. Hopkins isn't there. Matthew on the clock. Let's see what he decides to do. It's the guy we just sniped. Okay, so now what do we do here? The common view people are going to have and what we should do at this pick is to go ahead and to take Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is at value. Matthew Stafford does stack with Cooper Kupp as well. But 1, we want to pair up with Russ with someone. 2, we need a wide receiver. And 3, the big thing is we will get Matthew Stafford on the way back around. Trust me, this isn't my first rodeo. I think I know what we're doing here. Marvin Mims, no shot we get him on the way back around. But if you're looking at these teams, this team, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, they can't take another quarterback. This team, Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, they probably don't take another quarterback. This team has Justin Herbert. This is the really only team that we need to worry about going QB. And if they were to go QB, they are most likely taking Derek Carr, who's fallen 25 picks past ADP, instead of Stafford when they don't have Jefferson, they don't have Kupp. So the only team that we would potentially have to worry about taking a quarterback, they may do it, but they're probably going to go Derek Carr instead. The unvaccinated has Jalen Hurts and Tua. They can't take another quarterback. So Leslie decides to say, Mason, you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. and decides to add a third quarterback to a team with Lamar Jackson and Jared Goff. So that is just a little brutal. Yeah, so usually nobody drafts Stafford without Cooper Kupp. 100% right. But looks like I am completely wrong. Make a complete ass out of myself. And instead, we'll find ourselves taking Derek Carr here, almost 30 picks past ADP. Now, the big issue when we take Derek Carr is Kamara's gone. Thomas is gone. Olave's gone. Shaheed's gone. We're not taking another tight end. So, I don't know why they didn't go Carr, but we will go ahead and we'll take Derek Carr. Obviously, we are trying to get correlation built in. Obviously, we are trying to build for some stacks. It's not always going to go the way that we want, but at the end of the day, I'm fine having someone unstacked if we're getting the man 30 picks past ADP, right? If you're getting him almost 30 picks past ADP, kind of is what it is. So, wide receiver, we have Kupp, Higgins, Zay Flowers, Tyler Boyd, Adam Thielen. Tight end, we have TJ Hawkinson, Evan Ingram. Running back, definitely our strong suit. Ramadre, Najee Harris, Damian Pierce, Dalvin Cook, Khalil Herbert. Quarterback, we have Russ stacked up with Marvin Mims. And we have Derek Carr unstacked. So, the Carr Taysom stack is trending right now. Why the hell would anybody take Carr Taysom? Like, taking Taysom is a direct bet against Derek Carr. It's like, oh, when's Derek Carr not going to have spike weeks? Oh, when Taysom Hill has a lot of rushing production. So, Kenneth Gainwell off the board, 182. Great for us to see all these running backs go, of course. That's the main thing we're looking at. Okay. Now, honestly, all this talk about stacking is not going to matter at all. I'll tell you in just 1 second. Okay. Hill's my highest drafted tight end right now, but I don't draft Carr. LOL. Taysom Hill was undoubtedly a phenomenal pick in the 18th round last year. But at the same time, Lance goes. I was going to say stacking doesn't matter when you grab Trey Lance, QB1, no matter what. It's just much more difficult for Taysom in my mind. The man's like 34, going to be 34. You add in Jamal Williams as well as Conner Miller. So, and you have a quarterback upgrade. Like, in my mind, the usage has nowhere to go but down for Taysom Hill. Now, of course, that's priced in, right? Of course, with Taysom Hill, the man's going later than where he finished this past season. Let me see how many drafts I've taken Taysom. Figure this out. I've Taysom Hill in 4% of drafts. So we're not completely off of him, but okay. Bowler says Five Guys is better than In-N-Out. I would say Five Guys is comparable with In-N-Out, and it's a personal preference when it comes to taste, but Five Guys is also twice the price of In-N-Out. So maybe it tastes about the same, but you have to spend twice the amount to get it. So, I don't know. Caliber says, you missed my super chat earlier. Oh, I'm so sorry, my friend. Let me go ahead and let me find this. Deshaun in a third, or Kenny Pickett, Jonathan Mingo in an early first in a 12-team Superflex format. Personally, I'm not a big Jonathan Mingo guy at all. I still view Deshaun Watson as a quarterback that has an elite level ceiling. So personally, I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to overthink this too much, my friend. I am going to take the Deshaun Watson side, but I'm super sorry about missing that. Now, let's swing this back around and we'll go ahead and take an 8th wide receiver. We will take Robert Woods. We're still going to get a third quarterback, but I think there's a good shot we get Jimmy Garoppolo making it to us in the next round to pair up with Renfro, as if it matters at all. And we have a couple different stacking options. We have Ramondre as well, so we can go with Mac Jones. Y'all know, in general, I like Desmond Ridder in this range. So we're going to go ahead. We are going to queue up another quarterback. But Walter asking who has the best draft. I like our draft. I don't think ours is the best. Let me go ahead and let me pull this up. Okay, so let's see. Early rounds out the gate. What start did we like the best? Bush has had an interesting start. I feel like the wheels kind of fell off a bit, though. Really like M. Wolf's start of Chase, Smith, Allen. I think once you take Allen, you can't take Burrow, even if you have the Chase stack. Fully loaded CMC, Chubb, Pollard. I really like fully loaded's team. It's personally not how I draft. Personally, I don't. This was like a build that I had very often a few years ago. Now I think it's not the optimal anymore, but of course, I could always be wrong. I would say for the value that he got his players at, fully loaded, I do really like that team. And the reason I like pointing it out as well is it's like a team y'all never see me draft. So I don't know. But yeah, we are going to go ahead. We're going to take Jimmy Garoppolo. Of course, it's a pick that has a lot of risk, not much upside. One of my favorite kinds of picks, but that's all I have for y'all. Again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock and supporting the channel. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this, subscribe. Don't know if we have anything else to say. If you want to go get in an underdog draft with us tomorrow, the next day, we're doing this every single day till the season starts. Link in the live chat, link in the description. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. You get a 100% deposit match with promo code FLOCK. And at the same time, go take advantage of this Game 7 free bet. Like I said, not a big basketball guy, but this is available to everybody, regardless of if you use promo code FLOCK 2 years ago, last year, today, or right before the game starts. Go make sure you're taking advantage of that. But again, thank you. Really appreciate y'all. And really do hope that you have a great day as well.